Sky News has learnt that the taser used by police during the standoff with Roul Moat was not licensed for use. Neil Patterson, who broke the story, has more.
It might always be impossible to know whether the use of shotgun tasers altered the eventual outcome of the standoff between police and Roul Moat, but it's now understood that the weapons should not have been provided to police. It's a blurry image, but if we enlarge it, you can see a firearms officer using one of these so-called shotgun tasers. Compare it to a standard taser, also being used on the night. Most people will probably now be familiar with the look of this model. It's carried widely. The benefits of the shotgun taser is its range. It can fire effectively up to 100 feet, almost 5 times further than the standard taser. It fires an unattached cartridge that delivers the charge that can last 20 seconds. The 2 shotgun tasers were discharged by officers from West Yorkshire Police. Sources close to the Home Office tell us that blame shouldn't be attributed to those individual officers.
It would seem to me that these taser rifles have been supplied probably for officers to field test them, and they've ended up in the police armoury, and it certainly seems to me that they haven't actually gone through the chain of command and got the right authorities to use these weapons.
Sky News learned back in July that the device only arrived on the day of Moat's death. Largely untrialled, these prototype weapons were handed to police. Clearly unfamiliar with their use, officers practised using the shotgun taser by firing them into bags of rubbish. Eyewitnesses told Sky that the weapon's arrival was warmly welcomed by the police.
We've been waiting for these for a while. We're getting them now, what a coincidence. They all seemed excited for them,
An independent police complaints commission investigation is already ongoing, as is standard when police discharge their weapons. But why were these shotgun tasers in a police armoury, and who sanctioned their use on the night itself? These questions will further the doubt some have over the circumstances of Roul Moat's death.
And Neil joins us from the Home Office now. Hello to you, Neil. That IPCC investigation ongoing, and we await its findings. But this latest development will certainly add to that uncertainty surrounding Roul Moat's death, won't it?
That's absolutely right, and whilst it may well be the case that the individual officers concerned will escape blame in all of this, certainly that's what sources close to the Home Office are telling me, that does not, in and of itself, mean that other individuals, organisations will escape censure in all of this. Because let's be absolutely brutally clear about this. Without a licence, the police should not have received those weapons. Those weapons should not have then been deployed on that night. And of course, as I mentioned in that report, given the speculation that exists about the circumstances surrounding Roul Moat's death, this will add grist to the mill. I mean, quite clearly, I think questions need to be asked about those who sanctioned the use of these weapons on the ground. One presumes that involves senior figures in Northumbria, but perhaps also figures here at the Home Office. The second group of individuals that I think need to answer questions are the company themselves. Without the appropriate licence, which Home Office Minister James Brokenshire will at some point this week concede in a letter, was not granted. There was a breach of the Firearms Act. When that licence was not in place, why on earth were these weapons being distributed? I mean, as I say, ever since Moat died, there has been considerable speculation about the circumstances surrounding his death, and whilst we should not prejudge the outcome of that IPCC report, it's certainly true to say that there exists at least the possibility that these unlicensed tasers in some way contributed to his death. Now, that will certainly fuel the speculation that already exists, and quite frankly, even members of Roul Moat's family are railing against the fact that these weapons were prototypes, were experimental, and perhaps shouldn't have been used at all.
If these weapons have never been used in a situation like this, they're effectively conducting an experiment. They're using my brother as a guinea pig to use unlicensed weapons. That's not the place to test or train your police, your personnel, your firearms officers. The place is not in the field. The place should be behind the scenes. All licences should be in place, and all training should have been conducted months in advance, certainly days in advance, and not merely hours in advance, as it appears to be the case.
OK, Neil, at the Home Office, thanks very much indeed.